Time once again for us to check in with Dave Walker, find out what's going on in the museum scene around the region. Dave is host of the Museumgoer.com. Dave, welcome back. And what are you looking at this week?
Thanks, Paul. Recently opened at the Museum of the Southern Jewish Experience, the exhibit Most Fortunate Unfortunates, the Jewish Orphans Home of New Orleans, is based on Marlene Trestman's book of the same title. The home opened in 1856 to answer a need made necessary by three yellow fever summers, one sad product of which was orphaned children. As the exhibit details, the institution created by local Jewish community members to care for their own defied orphanage stereotypes of the day, offering much more than shelter for its residents. Religious education was, of course, an important part of life there, but so was secular education. Isidore Newman School was founded in the early 20th century to educate students from the home. Newman's inaugural enrollment counted 102 children from the home, as well as 23 tuition-paying classmates from the community. Nutrition and health care were also emphasized. The home pioneered vaccinating its children against scarlet fever and diphtheria in the 1920s. There are images in the exhibit of residents at play at a summer camp in Bay St. Louis. The home wasn't exclusively for New Orleans kids, eventually drawing residents from throughout the South and Southwest. Enrollment peaked at 173 in 1915. Residents remained an average of 7 years. The home, which occupied a couple of locations, the last of which stood where the Jewish Community Center thrives today, survived the Civil War, two World Wars, and the Great Depression, but closed in 1946 when the Jewish Children's Regional Service assumed non-residential services for Jewish children and their families. Video displays in the exhibit present alumni profiles and oral history interviews. Among the objects on view are a handwritten registration book dating to 1855, photo albums of daily life at the home, and perhaps most movingly, a cardboard suitcase that belonged to one resident. It's hard to see it and not imagine a little man's hand holding it as he departed the home in 1934, bound for the rest of his life.
Well, it sounds like a really interesting exhibit. Lots of context to it as well.
Lots of history and lots of context. An interesting thing about Marlene Trestman, the author, whose book the exhibit is based on, she was orphaned at age 11 and grew up as a foster care client of the Jewish Children's Regional Service, successor to the Jewish Orphans Home. For her book, she conducted more than 100 interviews with residents and descendants of residents, preserving the institution's great legacy, which will be celebrated in Most Fortunate Unfortunates through the end of the year. In addition, there's a huge archival supplement to the book and now exhibit at marlenetressman.com. Visit msje.org to learn more and plan your visit, and return there frequently for updates on upcoming public programs related to the exhibit. Speaking of public programs, at the New Orleans Museum of Art, curator Orlando Hernandez Ying will conduct gallery talks at 12:30 and 6 p.m. today, April 16th, in the exhibit Carlo Saraceni's Our Lady of Loretto and Peruvian vice-regal statue paintings. More at noma.org. At 6 p.m. Thursday, the Museum of the Southern Jewish Experience will present a free virtual program featuring Flames of Freedom podcasters Richard Stone and Mark Simon. More at msje.org. Sunday, April 20th, garden admission at Longview is free for Louisiana residents. Registration is encouraged but not required at longview.com. And the National World War II Museum will host a Yom HaShoah, or Holocaust Remembrance Commemoration Ceremony, at 6 p.m. Tuesday, April 22nd. The event is free and will take place in person and online. More at nationalww2museum.org.
Dave Walker, we check in with him each week, find out what's going on in the museum scene. You can find out more about anything that we've discussed at themuseumgoer.com. Dave, thanks so much, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Paul. See you then.